electrifying night right here in New Hampshire. Governor Mitt Romney grabs a decisive double-digit win. But how much will that victory influence voters in the next critical primary, South Carolina? David Drucker joins us from Roll Call. David, big difference in the organizations of these candidates.
That's correct, and I think one of the reasons Mitt Romney did so well is he's the only candidate that has a presidential-level organization in this state and has for months. It was a very well-oiled machine, whether you're talking knocking on doors, getting volunteers out, making the phone calls, all of the metrics, all of the apparatus of a top-flight campaign that turns out voters as long as they're willing to vote for you. Nobody else could compete with him. Not Rick Santorum after his surprise finish in Iowa, and not John Huntsman, who's been campaigning here since day one and only here. You know, what's so interesting is that Senator Rick Santorum seemed to go solo in Iowa, knock on every door himself. Speaker Gingrich seems to want to sort of have a modern model where he relies on the people being on television, sort of not the grassroots type in Iowa. I mean, it seems like the only one who had sort of an old-fashioned, business model was Romney. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons he was successful. Look, part of Newt's problem is that he was never able to put together a real organization after he peaked in the polls and the money started flowing in. Why that didn't happen, I don't know, but you don't win campaigns by winning debates. Rick Santorum can be excused because he finally peaked, came close to winning in Iowa, basically sort of won when you look at the momentum, but there's only a week between elections. He didn't have time to put it together in New Hampshire. But imagine that if he had something put together, he could have rolled into New Hampshire and maybe really capitalized. So I think the question is, in South Carolina, we've only got 10 days. Can any of these guys put together the kind of organization they're going to need to take advantage if Mitt Romney falters, if they're able to hit him enough that he sinks? Who's his biggest problem? Who's Governor Romney's biggest problem tonight in your mind in South Carolina, and why? I think his biggest problem actually is Mitt Romney. Can he convince the conservative voters of South Carolina to go with him, that he's conservative enough, that they can trust him enough? Because Monday's debate on Fox News, Santorum and Newt are going to go back at Romney on the conservative trust issue, the same thing they did in the NBC debate on Sunday. And if Mitt Romney can use the momentum from winning 2 races now, which is significant, and present himself as somebody who can turn the country around and be trusted, he has the money and the organization to continue on. But if he still is going to have questions, if there are going to be questions in the mind of South Carolina voters, then he's going to have possibly a problem. Well, I think he's probably wear an armored vest at the next debate. They're all gunning for him. They're all gunning for him. He's the only one they're gunning for, and I think that's in fact why they've started to go after his business record in a manner that sounds like Democrats, because so far nothing else has worked. Well, there's rough. Governor Perry is referring to him as a vulture capitalist instead of venture capitalist, so it will be rough indeed. Anyway, David, nice to see you. Good to see you.